Hi, welcome to Leading Ideas, a podcast for leaders, aspiring leaders, and anyone who's interested in leadership's best practices. I'm Skip Everitt, your host and commentator for Leading Ideas. It's being filmed at the New Horizons Computer Learning Center of North Florida in Gainesville, Florida, and New Horizon is our sponsor and host organization. This podcast is made possible by the President and CEO of this New Horizons, Tim Broom, and we thank him for that. These podcasts are accessible via Facebook or Vimeo. Go to facebook.com and search Leading Ideas from Skip Everitt. My producer is Jason Phillips, a journalist and media specialist with New Horizons. So welcome to today's podcast. What I'd like to do today is to recreate a presentation that I made recently to a group in Michigan, a group of executives from Battle Creek, and they are trying to reinvent their existence up there. Wherever you live, you know we've all been through a tough couple of years. One thing that's happening is that we're having some leadership issues, some issues of everything from ethics to performance to pay to whatever. And I've created a very brief presentation based on the research done since 1988 about why some leaders never achieve that level of leadership that they have aspired to. It's called the derailment process, and the research was started, as I said, in 1988 by the Center for Creative Leadership in Greensboro, North Carolina. They started studying why people got almost to the top of their organizations and then sort of fell off the cliff, or as they used the term derailment. They derailed like a train derailment. Actually, I've titled this, and I'll leave these notes to hopefully go on this broadcast. It's titled, "And Then His Brain Fell Out Onto the Boardroom Table, How Good People Fail." And so I will go through some of the ideas from the research. And this is from the 1988 study, and they've done it 3 or 4 times, so I'll update it as we go along. And what I want you to do is to frame yourself in your leadership position today. And if you're still going up that ladder or thinking about entering into leadership and management, I want you to listen as to why people didn't, what happened to them along the way. In the 1980s, here's the list. Why people derailed. Number 1, problems with interpersonal relationships, that old lack of social skills that we've talked so much about on these podcasts. The inability to hire, build, and lead a team. That is, doing everything myself or being a dictator, not empowering people. And last is the failure to set and meet business objectives. In other words, they weren't performing for whatever reason. Now, these are people, by the way, who've been promoted up through the ranks, moving around from here to there, and almost gotten to that CEO, CFO, COO, that C-level, what we call a job, and then something happened. The research was revisited in 1996 and added in global managers from Europe and Asia to see if the same things applied to them or if cultural differences made derailment a different issue. In 1996, here's the list, and it's going to sound familiar. Number 1 on the list of why people did not get where they wanted to go in their professional life was the lack of interpersonal skills. Getting along with others, personal cohesiveness, friendships, communications. Second was the inability and unwillingness to adapt to change. Of course, by 1996, the world literally was a different place. 1980s, early 80s, there was no internet for everyone. 1996, the world is a connected place. Teams had changed. Your team now in 1980 was that team of 5 men in one office as a team. The team of the 1996 was, well, I've got 1 member in Belgium, 1 member in Argentina, 1 member in New York, I'm in Chicago, and the other woman is in LA. And so things change. So the inability or unwillingness to change was a real career killer at that time. Revisited once more in 2003. What was happening. Again, same sample, expanded even to a couple thousand more managers worldwide. Listen to this. Number 1 was the continuing dominant tendencies of CEOs and runaway egos. So that's when we got into some of our notorious situations that we've gotten into in the workplace. Ruthlessness. treating people badly. Again, interpersonal skills. Obsessed with their image and the image of their organization to the point that they would lie. They would do anything they could to get to the next level. And also, conversely, this sounds kind of funny, continuing to rely on what worked in the past. They weren't, again, the inability to change with the changing world, the coming recession, the falling away from so many things that we knew about the world, or we thought we knew about the world. There is one last study done in 2007, and certainly there will be more. And here is the list again. And again, couch yourself in terms of being a leader who wants to get to the top of your game or your organization. Number one was poor administration. That's the inability to use their time, other people's times, be organized, be focused. Number two, overly ambitious. Personally ambitious versus ambitious for the company or the organization. Arrogance. That is losing a sense of oneself to the point where you don't think you have to play by the rules that everyone else has to play by. A betrayal of trust. When you're on camera, all of a sudden you're telling a story that no one in your family or your organization ever knew about how you got here, and there's a betrayal of trust. A poor personal learner. They don't learn from their mistakes. They go on because of their arrogance. Defensiveness. It wasn't my fault. Playing the blame game. And last was that whole pile of things called ethics issues, whether it was a violation of some congressional act or law or a violation of interpersonal compacts, whatever it may be. So those are the ideas behind how people fail to get where they're going in their professional lives. There is a 2010 study that I did, and I did it by simply looking at dozens of pieces of literature about what would make up derailment in 2010, and here's what I came up with. And again, think about your own situation. Number one, the failure to build a cohesive team and have a team that's with you, focused on the organization's most important things, productive, the best people you could get. Number two is insensitivity, not being sensitive to the people around you, what's going on in their lives, not being helpful. Number three is being a non-strategic leader. In other words, in the last 3 years, it's been so bad, many people have just focused so much on the bottom line that they've lost their sense of what's beyond this short-term horizon of cash flow issues. Fourth would be the overuse of coattailing. Well, I came in under John's guidance, and he's still here, and he's my man, and we're good buddies, and we're a good old boy club, and I'm just going to continue to hang on to him. When John disappears from the scene and you're exposed, you may find that you don't have the support of the larger organization or of your own team. Over-managing people. What we know at this point in time is that people need to feel needed. They need to feel they have some autonomy and some control over things at work as well as in other parts of their lives. And lastly, some political mistakes. Saying the wrong thing, being inappropriate, harassing men or women, doing things we know not only are stupid but are illegal, and we continue to do them. So, final word on this is look back at your own career, see where you are, take into account all of these lists because it's now a cumulative list of about 20 different items, and do a personal check-off on how you stand in all of these areas and which ones you need to grow out of and into the future. So welcome to Leading Ideas. Had a great time with you today, and we'll see you next time.